It is the last game week in the FPL season. Game week 38 is here. There's still so much to play for and some really good options you can go with this week to increase your rank and catch up on those mini leagues. I'm currently around 132,000th in the world, hoping to push towards that 100k mark in the world. But let's waste no time and have a look at how I might line up ahead of that Sunday deadline. And here we are, the last video of this season. It's wild. It's been an absolute roller coaster of a season. Let me tell you about the situation I'm in currently with my team to give you a little bit of context of what I'm really going to try to achieve with my transfers and other things like that. I'm 132,000th in the world. I really love to push more towards the 100k mark and possibly get into it, but my worry is what level of risk am I actually going to have to take to achieve that. It's got to be a differential, but how big of a differential? Does it have to change my captaincy from Haaland to someone else? We'll talk about that through the video, but to start off, we'll speak about the goalkeepers. Now, controversially, I actually don't want to start Vicario this week. When I brought him in, I was like, yeah, I think I'll play him over Petrovic in the back line because, of course, I made the Edison out move and Guardiola in move, which was absolutely fantastic, by the way. But, yeah, Sheffield United away from home. I feel as though it's going to be a scrappy game for Tottenham. Sheffield have nothing to play for whatsoever. I just feel as though it's going to be a game of goals from mostly Spurs, but I feel as though Sheffield United could sneak one or two in. A chaotic game is what I'm predicting, and I don't really want Vicario in net for that. The stuff to play for in terms of Spurs and Chelsea, so I feel as though both teams are going to be great and on good form on the day. Spurs a bit less than Chelsea. Chelsea are absolutely fantastic at the moment, of course, we all know that. But Spurs have got a Europa League spot to play for. They must draw or win on the day to secure that. If they lose the game against Sheffield United and Chelsea win against Bournemouth, Chelsea will then get that Europa League spot. So there is huge things to play for still for both teams. I just feel as though Vicario, he won't get too many save points on the day. I think they're going to be, well, they are prone to just conceding silly little goals. And yeah, I'm not expecting a clean sheet, but with Petrovic, at least I've got more, in my mind, more of a chance of a clean sheet. And it also does help that I do have another Spurs defender in, so if they do get a clean sheet, the chances are I don't miss out on those points. And if not, I may be able to secure clean sheet points for my Pedro Porro rather than my Vicario. Let me just quickly explain that. I think that Pedro Porro, he might be an early sub. It could be the case that he parts way and a youngster comes on, secures his clean sheet, then Sheffield United go and score. So there is the small chance of that. That's in my mind, and one of the main reasons why Vicario is on the bench. I do have Pedro Porro on the pitch, so there's no need to really double up in that much in my mind. Gabriel, Everton at home. We know Arsenal the best defence in the league. Massive things to play for still. You could say a clean sheet is locked, but Everton have been a good team, and they have been a good team for a while. Do I think they're hard to score against? Possibly. Do I think that they're going to go and pose a real attacking threat to Arsenal? I don't think they are. I really don't think they are. Speaking of attacking threat, Guardiola, of course, joining the team last week. Unbelievable move. One of the best moves I've made this season, getting rid of Edison, putting in Vicario, and then, of course, getting Guardiola as well. West Ham at home, again, massive things to play for. And in my opinion, Guardiola is the best defender you can pick in FPL for the last game week. If you're wanting something more differential, and this is something that's crossed my mind, you could go the Trent route. Trent has Wolves at home. It's the last home game of the season for Liverpool. Big game. Klopp's leaving, last game. Loads, pride to play for. I think it could be a great move for me. I don't really have the finances to go and do that in case I could downgrade someone in the midfield and take a hit and do so, but I feel as though the hit is less likely to happen if I was to bring in a defender, just because of how uncommon clean sheets have been, and especially on the last day of the season when teams tend to score more goals. I kind of want to fill up more on midfielders than anything else. But yeah, I'll stop yapping. The defence I'm really happy with. Let's get on to the midfielders. Now, the midfielders, it's an interesting one because Gordon's is flagged in the FPL app. I just think it's the small foul he had on his heel, which he didn't get a penalty for, which I still don't understand, but we'll just skip over that. So I do think Gordon will play. It's an away fixture. Of course, Gordon broke the curse of his away fixture, not scoring goals, by scoring against United, of course. I don't really want to play Gordon. However, I feel as though if Gordon comes in, Isak would be the one to drop on the bench. Do I think Isak outscores Gordon? I actually do think that against a Brentford side. So, yeah, a bit of a weird one. He's on the bench for me at the moment because he's flagged. But the more interesting thing is, what do I do with Bruno Fernandes? I think we can look at my midfield and understand that Foden, Palmer and Son aren't going to go anywhere. You know, informed teams of Chelsea and City, and of course, Heung-min Son being the finisher he is. I say that, being the finisher he is. You seen that 1-versus-1 against City, didn't you? Absolutely awful. Nevertheless, though, a Sheffield United team that's got nothing to play for. It's going to be a scrappy game, I feel. Son's going to be around it. He's not going anywhere. I think it's Bruno Fernandes who could be the one that leaves the side. You know, the big speech from Ten Hag might boost the fans a bit more. It's an away fixture, so, you know, there's that also a think about for Bruno. It's hard to explain what I feel about Bruno. I feel as though there's going to be a better option out there in an Arsenal midfield, is what I would say about Bruno. If I was to move him elsewhere, I don't really know what else I would choose. You could maybe think, oh, we'll go for an Eze. However, you know, Aston Villa are a good team. We can't forget that. Of course, Palace are on absolutely amazing form at the moment, and, you know, the forwards for Palace have been playing really, really, really well. But I don't think there's too many other options out there other than Arsenal midfielders to swap for Bruno Fernandes. So there is a chance that I just go from Gordon to someone like an Eze and then do a -4, get Bruno out and put Saka in. But it's a -4 at the end of the day. Do I really need to take that? Is that the level of risk I need to take to get higher in that rank towards 100k? I'm just not too sure. There's not much else to really talk about in terms of other picks. There is the slight chance that I go from Gordon to a Hudson-Odoi as a real big punt. But I'm not really feeling that whatsoever, if I'm being really honest with you. Yeah, the midfield, there's loads of options I can go for. If I was going to say dead on the spot right now what I'm feeling of doing, it would be Bruno Fernandes to Havertz or Odegaard. I feel as though I'm in a spot where I probably will need an Arsenal midfielder, but I'll probably need a differential Arsenal midfielder to gain those ranks and just hope that Saka doesn't do as well as I think he's going to do, because I feel as though if I pick Saka and Saka does well, I'm not really going to gain that many ranks, if we're being honest. I feel as though if I pick Havertz or Odegaard and they do well, I'm really going to be pushed up quite a bit towards that 100k mark, and then it's just a case of captaincy and other players gaining me rank here and there. But yeah, midfield's a tricky one to navigate, but I feel as though Bruno Fernandes and Gordon are the real ones that are on the chopping block. Now, forwards in the team. This is an interesting point that I want to just raise. There is a big differential that I really want to go for, but it means selling another player who I think will do quite well on the game week. Let me just explain what I mean. Before we do that, we'll talk about Haaland and Isak. Isak, I don't have a problem with selling. I don't have a problem with benching. I just think he will outscore Gordon for the week, especially the fact he's on penalties. Haaland, he's going to be my captain more than likely. A great fixture, West Ham at home. He's good in big games, in my opinion. Of course, in the Champions League final, he kind of went ghost when he won it last season. But, you know, it's a home fixture. Haaland as well at home. I don't really need to defend myself for Captain Haaland, but I am. I feel as though there are more exciting options out there that you could go for, but to be safe, I think Haaland has to be my captain, just to give me that level of safety for the game week. But let's talk about the riskier move that we're all interested in. I might sell Nicholas Jackson, and it sounds crazy because of how good he has been for Chelsea recently. Of course, you can pick up the odd massive miss he makes and other things like that and laugh at that fact, but he has been brilliant. We can't hide the fact that Chelsea are probably one of the most informed teams in the Premier League right now. And for those who aren't able to watch every football match they can, I had the pleasure of watching Chelsea last night, and I have to say, Nkunku is bloody fantastic. He is fantastic, and he is 0.9% owned. So the potential of the move that I'm, risking a go for is Nicholas Jackson to Christopher Nkunku, and just hope that Jackson doesn't score any goals and maybe gets an assist just to stay really quiet that day, and hopefully Nkunku really shines. The problem is, I think that move would have to wait until we get team news. If Nkunku is to start, and maybe we see Jackson on the bench, or we see Nkunku on the left and Jackson up front, I feel as though I'm much, much more ready for that move. That's the only way I would make that move, in my opinion. I would really need to guarantee that I was getting 90 minutes of Christopher Nkunku, or at least 80 plus minutes, because there is probably, going to be quite a lot of rotation on the last day of the season. Of course, quite a lot to play for Chelsea. They need to win the game to get Europa League, and they're going to be pushing for that. They really are going to be pushing for that. So yeah, Christopher Nkunku could join the side, and then if I was going that risky and swapping out Nicholas Jackson to get Nkunku in, if he starts, Bruno Fernandes would most likely then drop to a Saka or Odegaard or Havertz, but most likely Saka, because I'm taking such a big risk on Christopher Nkunku. So yeah, there's some real options I can go with this week. There is some real risky plays I can make to boost myself towards that 100k mark. It mostly depends on team leaks and things like that, because if there is a team leak of Christopher Nkunku starting for Chelsea, I think I'm really going to take that. I really do think I will. You could maybe look at not selling Jackson and selling Isak instead, but of course, as you know, I already have 3 Chelsea assets, so it would be the case that Isak goes to Nkunku, and maybe Petrovic drops to someone, a differential goalkeeper. But with the amount of goals scored on the last day of the season compared to other games in the season, I'm not expecting clean sheets, and I don't think a goalkeeper is going to swing my rank that much compared to someone in the midfield, especially when you get an extra point for a goal in the midfield compared to forwards as well. So yeah, loads to think about. Haaland's going to be the captain. The most likely transfer I'm going to make is Bruno Fernandes to an Arsenal midfielder, or if I'm feeling risky and I know Christopher Nkunku is starting for Chelsea, Jackson to Nkunku and Bruno Fernandes to Saka for a -4 hit. Let me know what you think of those moves. Let me know as well what moves you're making this week. Let me know, of course, your questions and dilemmas for the game week. As you know, I reply to every single comment on every single platform that I post on, so let me know what you're thinking and feeling about game week 38. And just to end the video there with a massive, massive thank you to every single one of you watching this video. If you supported me through the season, or even if this is the first time you're ever watching the channel. A huge thank you for all the support this season. It's been a real journey and it has been super fun. Of course, you can expect much more FPL and football content from myself over the weeks that FPL isn't on. Of course, we are lucky enough to have the Euros fantasy, so if you're into that sort of thing, please drop a subscribe because I will be posting content about that very shortly in the next few weeks. But there's nothing else left to say, but that is everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.